All right, so I had a few minutes this morning, and I thought I'd spend some time explaining to you how this whole Mueller Russia hoax scam began. Because apparently the FBI, the government, or DOJ doesn't want to let you in on this information. So I'll try to explain it to you simply as I can. But first, I'll start out by saying happy birthday to my son Tanner. And he just recently got engaged, so. He caught me on payday, which is good, so he can take his woman out for a nice meal. Sent him a little bit of cash this morning. But back to the Mueller thing. So after Trump won the election, the Democrats had a plan in place. Of course, they always have contingencies. They had a plan in place to what they would do if Trump won. So, it referred to as the insurance policy or what have you. And so they put this plan into place. And so the plan basically was to tie Trump to Russian intelligence, and say he's working for the Russians. So how did they do that? Okay, well, they needed somebody to work on behalf of the Russians to feed the Trump campaign information, and they had to develop links in that. And so I was part of that. And the story was that I somehow hacked the DNC or fed Trump information from the Russians, the Trump campaign, that somehow helped, hurt Hillary Clinton and helped him to win, When the truth was that Trump won because American people were sick of politicians in general. And they thought, well, even if this guy wins, maybe he's a businessman, maybe he can shake things up. And so that's why he won. Not because of, there's influences from all over. We had all the articles out of Europe that I saw during the election time were all against Trump. To say that the Russians were for Trump, which is not true. The Russians very much would have preferred Hillary in office, especially because of their oil business. We're breaking records here in this country with gas and oil. And so, the Russians, half their economy is based on energy. And so they don't want competition. So, it would make sense to get somebody like Hillary in that would ban fracking and such, and would benefit their economy and their stranglehold on Western Europe with energy. Now we can ship Western Europe liquefied natural gas, so they're not totally dependent on the Russians for their energy. So to think that the Russians wanted Trump in is ridiculous to begin with. And to think that I worked somehow with the Russians is even more ridiculous. And it caught me, it kind of blindsided me. I had no idea I was involved in this thing. I've been accused by a lot of things from the FBI from the Obama years. None of it's true, but it affects your reputation. I posted a video of Nate Kane last night, what they did to him. He was just a whistleblower. He had information on the Clintons, by the way, on the Clinton Foundation, and he shared it, eventually got it to the House Judiciary Committee. But, the FBI came in and, they treated him like a friend, and they were helpful and looked at his guns, and he gave him his electronics and passwords, and he did everything right. Then they went to his neighbors and insinuated that he was some right-wing extremist kook, and you probably ought to keep your children away from him too. He may be insinuating he may be some kind of pedophile or something. And so that's what these guys do. That's what they've done to me, And imagine trying to work in a place with coworkers that think this kind of stuff. You can be a nice guy all you want, but they're going to believe what the FBI told them or insinuated through their questioning. So back to the insurance policy. So right after Trump was elected, the elites got together. They decided how they were going to pursue this thing. So I went on a date early December with a FBI informant named Cheyenne. And the reason I know she's an informant because we had a great date. We're going to meet again, and all of a sudden I never heard from her again. And that's usually what happens when you figure out what they're up to. And it was at Rococo's in North Park Mall in Oklahoma City. It was a Tuesday night. And Miss Lisa Page, Lisa Page, the Lovebirds, flew in from Washington or wherever she's from, Virginia, and was there that night. She was sitting at the bar. Totally obvious, she wasn't really dressed for Oklahoma City. She was a little more formal, she stood out. And the fact that she was on her daggone phone the entire time, looked like on a FaceTime call. And then she walked around the restaurant, like an idiot taking pictures. But anyway, they tried to drug me that night, probably slipped something in my wine or, I've been through this a lot of times. And it didn't work out the way they thought. So they tried again a few weeks later at my company Christmas party. Brought all the local cops in. The local cops had a Christmas party at the same restaurant right next to our room, coincidentally. And they tried it again. Of course, it didn't work out like they wanted. And this went on and on for a while, and my son and I went to Miami on a trip in March after Trump was elected that year. And same, 2017, same kind of crap happened. I was drugged 3 separate occasions that I know of, and so I got a little pissed off, and I wrote a letter to the FBI, several FBI, probably about 10 or 12 FBI field offices where I thought there were some decent people. Didn't send it to FBI headquarters. And I mailed the same letter to the White House and to Attorney General Sessions at the time. And, well, 2 weeks later, guess what happened? Comey got fired, and the Mueller investigation started. Never got a response for those letters until after the Mueller investigation was over 2 years later. Now, I don't know about how Trump runs his business, but I imagine he probably runs the White House similar to his business. And I don't think it takes 2 years to get a response to a letter, maybe a month or two, even anytime you write a letter, even if a 5-year-old writes a letter to the White House, they'll get some kind of form letter back, That's just good politics, to return people's letters. But I didn't get a response. No response from the FBI. And my letter kind of went through my issues. I had a pretty serious back injury. I was on, painkillers and opioids for a long time. And I kind of went through some of that. And then I went through some of the FBI abuse that I experienced under the Obama administration. And so 2 years later, the Mueller investigation wrapped up on a Friday. Okay. Now, I get a letter from the White House that was pinned on the following Tuesday. So what does that tell you right there? Well, that tells you that obviously, Trump was trying to, the whole investigation was looking into his ties with Russia. And so obviously I was a target of that, and any communication between the White House and myself wouldn't be good at that time until that was wrapped up. So I get the letter. Now, mind you, I pinned the letter. I wrote the letter at my sister's house and used my sister's address. I was doing a job up in Enid, Oklahoma at the time.